Hello, my name is Jay Walter, and this is Rebuilding. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "A mind that is stretched by a new experience can never go back to its old dimensions." So let's stretch our minds, find answers to problems, overcome fears, and rebuild our first kingdom. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rebuilding. I'm Jay Walter, your host for today. I want to tell you a little bit of a story of my experiences last week. As I drove to work, I generally listen to an audiobook or some motivational or inspirational story. And I was listening to On Fire by John O'Leary. And he was talking about the two big questions that everyone asks themselves when something important happens in their lives. And that question is, in both cases, why me? And I thought to myself, well, okay, you do ask yourself, why me when you have something bad happen to you? Why is something bad always happening to me? Why is it always me? Why can't anything happen that's good to me? The other side of that coin that he said is, when you say, why me, you can ask yourself, what about this experience do I need to learn from? What about this experience is important for me to understand? And so there's two ways of looking at this question of why me. And as I was driving, I was kind of thinking about this, and this is kind of my flow time during the morning as I get to work and start working in the morning. The thought came into my mind um, about the seven golden words. The seven golden words come from Richard Paul Evans in his book, The 5 Things a Millionaire Taught Me. And he uses the seven golden words when he's negotiating or when he's, when you're buying a car, you ask the salesman, well, is that the best you can do? Those are the seven magic words. Is that the best you can do? And I thought to myself, well, if this why me is two sides of a coin, what if we turned those seven magic words around? What if in the morning you ask the man in the mirror, is that the best you can do? How powerful is that to ask yourself, am I doing the best that I can? Now, the answer is sometimes yes. I'm doing the absolute best I can do right now. I know as much about what I need to do as I can, or I need to improve in some area in my life. I'm not quite doing the best I can do in something that I'm trying to do. But if you ask yourself in the morning, am I doing the best I can do? Am I trying as hard as I can try? So why don't we do the best we can do? Why don't we give our best effort sometimes? Sometimes it just is hard. It's hard to face that obstacle. It's hard to face that fear. And so we allow ourselves not to do the best we can do. Let's change that. Let's ask ourselves every morning, is this the best you can do as we look at ourselves in the mirror? Do we believe in what we are saying? Do we believe we can do the best we can do? This is not a super high bar. This is not something that you have to be the best in the world. This is something you have to be better than you were yesterday. Now, what I want you to do a little exercise as you listen to this podcast, or if you're driving, don't pick up a pen and paper and start writing. I'm okay with that. When you get home, when you have a few minutes, I want you to take out a piece of paper. I really want it on paper with a pen or a pencil. List 3 things you are doing well. Write them down. Now look through that list. Maybe it's more than 3. Maybe it's 1 or 2. Look at those things on that list and congratulate yourself on those things. Celebrate them. You are doing these things well. Could you do them better? Maybe. But celebrate right now that you are doing these things well. Now, on the other side of that paper, pick 1 or 2 things that you could improve on, that maybe you're not doing as well as you'd like to do. Write them down. Now, what I want you to do for the coming week is to take one of those things and set your goals this week, this coming week, to bring that one thing to the point where you can say yes when you ask yourself, are you doing the best you can do? Now, some of these things might take more than a week, and I'm okay with that. But I want that to be your focus for this coming week, is to improve on that thing that you don't feel you're quite up to snuff on. And see how close you can get by the end of the week, by next Monday, when my new podcast is released. We release on every Monday. But look at it. Have I improved this week? Am I doing better? Do I still need to work on it a little bit? Okay, analyze it. Think about it. But focus for this one week on that one thing that you want to be better at. And answer that question every day. Am I doing better today than I did yesterday? Am I going to do better tomorrow? What am I going to do tomorrow to be better at this? Now, the reason why I ask you to only choose one thing is there's a natural tendency to take on too much. We as human beings say, oh, I've got this long list of things that I need to take care of this, and I need to take care of that, and I need to take care of this other thing. And it's so overwhelming. But you can ask yourself, am I doing the best I can do to get all of these things done? And most of the time, the answer is yes. You feed your family. You have a roof over your head. You have a warm bed to sleep in. You're paying your bills. And you're okay with doing those things. So don't take on too much. Don't be overwhelmed with thinking, I've got to fix everything. That's the worst thing you can do, is try to fix it all. Because if you're pulled in a million directions and you make 1 centimeter of progress in a million directions, you didn't go very far. But if you choose one goal, one thing, one item you want to work on, and you focus on that, and you keep doing all the other things you do well, but today you're going to focus a little bit more on this one thing that you've chosen for yourself. Change your focus, change your desire, feel good about where you are, and focus on the next step that you want to take. Every morning, wake up and ask yourself as you look in the mirror, am I doing the best I can do? Is this the best I can do? And then as you journal, as you write down your goals, write down the steps you want to take today to make a step forward in this thing that you're focusing on. You're only taking one step. It doesn't have to be a huge step. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You're making progress. Now, I've talked about Jim Rohn before. He says that discipline is making correct choices every day consistently. So you make that correct choice today to change your focus to this issue that you want to fix. Change your focus today about where you want to be tomorrow. There's nothing that happens in your life tomorrow. Everything that happened yesterday has already happened, and you can't change that. The only action you can take is to ask yourself every morning, is that the best you can do? And then take the steps you need to take to move forward. Some days are going to be good days. You're going to make a lot of progress. You're going to take several steps. Some days won't. Some days you'll have a bad day. You won't be able to learn the things you need to learn. Something will happen that changes your focus, that takes your focus off what you want. That's okay. It's not all or nothing. This is not a 1-week thing. This is not a 1-day thing. This is not a 1-day goal. You're making small steps. You're making small goals that move you forward. Now, just remember, we've talked before, don't dream too small, but make sure your steps are steps you can take. If you need motivation, if you need more ideas on what to do, listen to this podcast again. Maybe you'll hear something different. Find other motivational messages that will move you forward. Seek out the knowledge that will make this goal easier. Seek out the knowledge you need to know to make it happen. Seek your higher power for help and for knowledge. There is the knowledge of the universe out there waiting for you to ask. I hear so many people talk about, why are we closing ourselves off from the greatest source of knowledge in the universe? It's all out there. It's all known. You just need to ask. And then you need to listen. Change will not happen immediately. Small changes might. But change does not happen. Large changes in our life does not happen immediately. We do not live in a sitcom world. You can't fix your life in an hour. We get so used to people. I've got this family problem. My son's acting out in school. And by the end of the episode, the sitcom, everything's better. They're sitting around the dinner table and their son's an angel, and we do not live in that world. This is a world of make-believe that you see on television. It's a world of make-believe in the movies. You cannot have instant gratification. You cannot have instant fixes to your life. It takes consistent, constant effort, consistent, constant thought, consistent, constant discipline. So let's take a quick break here, and then after the break, I'm going to bring in my good friend and producer, Brad Neufeld, and we're going to talk more about this, how to change your life, how to ask yourself, am I doing the best I can do? So we'll be right back.
Hello, my friends. This is Brad Neufeld, host of the Five Kingdoms radio show right here on the Tribe of Kings Information Network. Be sure and tune in weekly to hear the latest and greatest on the Tribe of Kings, and also to learn all those things that you need to do to be the best that you can be.
are listening to Five Kingdoms Radio, where we inspire you to organize and align your life so that you can build a better you, a better family, and become a better friend and associate so that you can ultimately bless the world. If these are your goals and you want to help us build this life-changing network, we invite you to become a sponsor or advertise on our station. For more information on this amazing opportunity, please contact us at fivekingdomsradio.com.
I'm author Richard Paul Evans. Several years ago, I asked author Mary Higgins Clark the secret to her success. She said, "Richard, I try to make every book my best. I've tried to do the same. My readers deserve that. And sometimes magic happens. I think you're going to love my new book, Noel Street." My agent cried 9 times. Even the woman recording the audiobook had to take breaks because she couldn't stop crying. Noel Street is the story of a mother's love and forgiveness. I can't wait for you to read it. That's Noel Street, on sale November 5th.
Well, welcome back. We're so glad you could come back and be with us again for the rest of the show. I hope so far something maybe have resonated with you and that we can maybe add on to that. And so I brought in my good friend Brad Neufeld. He's the host of the Brad Neufeld Show and the Five Kingdoms radio show. And I think he's done a lot of things like this where you ask yourself questions. So thanks for being on with me, Brad.
Oh, you're so welcome, Jay. Thanks for having me.
And, you're the first person I talked to about this idea. Tell me what thoughts came to your mind when I shared with you the story of how this thought came into my mind and what you thought of what I was saying.
Well, at first, because I have, as you said, a little bit of experience in doing all of this. As the listeners to my show know, I've suffered from depression and had to dig myself out of that mental hole there. And something a long time ago, it's been 25 years ago. This one lady told me some advice. She said to me that, "Brad, if you look yourself in the mirror and say, 'I love myself,' and then say that 100 times a day for the next 30 days, your life will be different."
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to lie. When I first heard that, I thought that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life, And so I didn't do it right away. But then after a couple more doctor visits and upping my medication and stuff, it just hit me one day. You know what? What have I got to lose?
Right.
Let me give it a shot. And I know when I got in front of the mirror and looked myself in the eye and said, "I love myself," I had the weirdest sensations come over me, like, do you really love yourself? What's there to love? Look at you. You're pathetic. And I had all these really weird ideas come to my head. And I was like, let me try that again. But it was kind of an interesting thing. I persisted, even though the mental battle was going on. I persisted and said it over and over again just to take this lady's suggestion. And after a week or so, not that I had totally transformed myself, but people started giving me compliments. And I thought, okay, these two have nothing to do with each other, right? I mean, it was like, okay, maybe it was just a weird day. But the compliments kept coming.
Mm.
I would like walk into the office and people would greet me normally. "Oh, hi, Brad. How you? Whoa, Brad, you looking happy today? What's going on with you?" And I'm like, "I feel the same. I don't know what's I don't know what's going on with me." But after a while, I thought, well, maybe something's happening here. And then I noticed a sensation that I was like, "Oh, maybe I am pretty good at conversing with people. Maybe I am somebody who really cares about people." Maybe I started to see um, my attributes, the good parts of me.
Right.
And so it was a really good thing to get started. And now sometimes that very thing works for people, other times it doesn't. But having gone through all of that, when you came to me with this idea and you said that, I immediately, put it on, for lack of a better phrase, and I tried it out, and it was amazing, Jay. I was like, holy cow. And again, my mind starts racing with all these unique thoughts, or unique at the time thoughts of, well, perhaps I could do better, getting up in the morning a little bit more with a little bit better attitude. Maybe I could, uh, put a little bit more time and effort into me writing my projects a little bit more. Maybe I could put a little bit more time and effort in reaching out to other people and thinking more about their needs versus mine. And I just had all these different things come to me.
Wow.
And so I did the same thing where I said it while looking in the mirror. And it was, again, another weird sensation. I don't want to tell your audience that because I want them to have their own experience, but it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
But
I worry
uh,
though with this that it's one of those questions like why me that can be
mm,
taken both ways. That you can say, am I
yeah,
doing the best I can do, and have that be a negative,
mhm.
looking at finding all the bad things. And I talked a little bit about that before, but how do you make sure you frame this in a positive way?
And I think that's really good of you to bring that up too, because uh, I know at the heart of that depression that I was experiencing was a lot of guilt in there, thinking I wasn't doing enough to help myself. I wasn't doing enough to help my family. And so when I was able to let go of that guilt is when my transformation started, and realized, you know what? I am who I am. I can only do so much. I'm
Yeah.
human. I'm not perfect. I have certain talents and skills in other areas. I am not that talented, and I had to come to those realizations. And so I had thought that same thing too. I had felt a little bit of overwhelm after a couple of days of doing, saying that over and over. Is there, is this the best you can do? I started to feel that overwhelm again, and I went, oh boy. Um, and so I'm glad you brought it up. Otherwise, I was going to.
Yeah.
Maybe to let your listeners know, don't overwhelm yourself.
Right.
Take the thoughts that you have, write them down, but then look at the things you're doing good every day. Take the time to go, okay, I'm already doing certain things. Don't make this to where, because again, your subconscious mind is always going to create bigger things than what they are. That's part of the design of the subconscious mind, is to that creativity part.
Mhm.
And so it's going to create and come up with things that maybe you haven't thought of, or maybe that you're not willing to do or capable of doing right now. And so just understand that.
Right.
But put things in perspective. Just look at it and say, okay, I'm already doing a lot of these things good, and pat yourself on the back and say, you know what? I'm doing these things good. But it doesn't hurt to say, okay, what can I do to improve in those areas?
Yeah.
And if something comes to you, great. If you feel like I'm doing enough there, then be okay with it.
Yeah.
Just be okay with it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm finding out as I learn about how happiness really is not the getting of things, it's being happy with what you have. And that's one of the things that this really brought to my mind as I do this in the morning now. I'm starting to practice what I preach, and
Mhm. Yeah.
um, it's like yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm figuring out this podcast thing, and feel good that what I have to say and the ideas I have, maybe they will help somebody, and I feel good about my job, and I feel good about the way things are going. And but I do have these little things that I'm trying to build. I'm trying to learn German. That's
Mm.
my goal for the next few months, is to become passably fluent
Yeah.
in
At
German.
least be
So
able to converse
to
the
converse in a little
typical
bit, and
first time conversation. Yes.
yeah. But it is amazing how that thought brings that to your awareness that, yeah,
Mhm.
I can be happy with where I'm at right now, because I am doing okay in these things, and
Yes.
I want to learn, and
Yes.
it keeps you motivated to learn in my mind. But
Mhm. Absolutely. And so if anything, I like the fact that it did trigger some new ideas that I hadn't thought of before.
yeah.
And so I've written them down in my organizer, and I'm going to look at implementing several of the things that came up to me. Again, one of them was how can I be more effective during the times I am working
Mm-hmm.
versus so if I only have a 5 hour block to write or read at that particular time, I ask myself that question, and I'm excited to visit that one and see what comes up, because I
Cool.
don't feel like I am producing as much during that time as I would like to. So
Yeah.
I'll
S-
have to get back with you and let you know how it goes.
that's cool. That's the fun thing about this is that's I would love to hear feedback of people that are trying this and and how it affect or change their thought patterns or affected the way they feel. That's I can see changes coming with me. And from what you're saying, you're seeing that subconscious really, really wants to tell you these are
Hmm.
some of the things it sees that you maybe are not aware of. And that's that's incredible to me that
Yeah,
maybe that just
that
that
was.
simple question, that why me? What am I meant to learn from this? To am I doing the best I can do? And,
Mhm.
you know, all
Yeah,
these
because I know
things.
that "why me" statement, as you know, or as you've already alluded to, that can be a dangerous statement, because
Yeah.
you say "why me" again with the creativity of the subconscious, it may come up with things like things you saw in movies, 30 or 40 years ago that you don't quite remember. There's still those memories in there, and it'll come up with the most grotesque scenarios, or what do you want to say? Scenarios that are definitely not true, but if you think about them long enough, they become true for you as an individual.
Right.
So you want to be careful of that "why me" thing.
Yeah.
Uh, but then it doesn't hurt to ask and see what feedback comes in. Again, there might be an idea in there that you can take and run with that'll make things better in your life. But predominantly, what I've seen from working with thousands of people over the years, plus myself, that's a question to be careful about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, and that's why I like that change is this the best I can do?
mhm.
And really let that explore your thoughts and your feelings and like you're saying, congratulate yourself and celebrate the things you feel like you are doing the best you can do right now. So,
Yes. And realize you're always getting better every day. I know this is another thing too. We're so programmed for instant success, or
oh,
so it appears on TV or within other people's lives, that they just wake up one day and everything's different in their life, and we call those people lucky and all that. That really doesn't exist. I guarantee you, if you go and talk to a person where you witness that very thing, you're going to find out that they've been preparing for it for
yeah.
6 months, a year, 2 years,
Yeah.
and then it just finally happened because they've been doing the preparation.
Yeah, we don't see the
Now,
failure that they've gone through for the last year to finally bring them up to where they've learned all the lessons they need to be where they're at right now.
exactly. And if you ever need to, well, I shouldn't say if, I highly suggest you do check in every now and then, every couple of weeks, every month. I know you and I were talking about this the last time we were together, that look how far we've come in a year with our station and with the podcast.
Yeah.
Just to think where we were then, going, well, okay, we're doing a few of these, but is anything going to happen? Now all of a sudden they're taking off,
Yeah.
and it's nice to think, oh wow, what's it going to be like in a year if we persist and keep doing what we're doing?
Yeah.
And so stop, pause, and say, all right, has there been a change in me in the last week? Has
Yeah.
there been a change in me in the last month since I've been saying this statement? And you'll find that you change, but because you're wearing your same suit all the time, so to speak, you are who you are. You tend to always carry that thought of that whatever situation you're in, it'll feel the same 6 months from now, even you'll feel the same because again, you're wearing your same skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you really stop and ask that question, what have I done in the last 6 months, or am I better off than I was 6 months ago? You can always look back and go, wow, I've really made some progress there.
Yeah.
But
Well,
just
that's
realize that is happening every day.
yeah, and the power of writing these thoughts down and going back, like you say, every 3 to 6 months and look back at what you wrote down 3 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, and then where am I now? Wow, it can be very drastic. It can be very exciting to see how your life has changed, just making these little tweaks, these little changes. So
Yeah.
that's
Well, Jay, I think you've hit something here. I think you need to get this message out to the world. That was brilliant.
well,
So just
I
want
I don't think
to
it
enjoy
was
that.
all me. I think
Well,
I think some of those thoughts were said, you know what? This
mhm,
needs to be thought of and brought out. So I'm glad I have this platform to do that. So,
mhm. All
but
right. Well, yeah. But yeah, I'm very happy with what's since you've told me that because I was kind of stuck. I was in a place where it was like, okay, I feel like I am doing better than I was before, but it just felt like, gosh, I'm just not being as proficient as I feel like I should be.
yeah.
But then asking that question, the ideas started to flow, and I was like, oh, okay, now. so so
Oh,
it's been great.
oh, cool. Well, I want to just remind everybody. I would love to hear feedback on this. I want you to go out and try. If you're listening to the show right now, try this tomorrow morning. Look yourself in the mirror or before you go to bed tonight. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is this the best I can do? Is this the best you can do, the man in the mirror?
Mhm.
And write down some of those ideas. And as you sleep, your subconscious will work on this question and maybe in the morning as you get up and you journal, you write down some of the ideas that came to your mind. I would love to hear about some of your wins and some of the things you're willing to celebrate and understand that you are doing the best you can do in these areas. And I really would like to hear from you.
Oh,
So,
Jay, let me throw one last thing in here. If you have another, do you have
oh
another
yeah,
minute
I
there?
got another minute.
Okay, we interesting. I'm not going to say this is the latest and greatest weight loss weight loss system here, but one of the things that came up to me was, could I be eating better?
Oh,
And I asked myself that, and I said, okay. After that thought came to me, I said, okay, what can I do to change my eating habits? Because I'm somebody who likes to eat.
yeah.
I see food, I eat it. Uh, you know me when we go out to lunch and stuff like that. What do I always tell you when you say, "Well, where do you want to go?" I said, "Somewhere where there's food."
That's right.
I, so, but anyway, I've noticed since then that I really pause and go, "Okay, do I really want that? Do I really want that right now?" And I'm surprised my brain's been reacting very differently and been saying, "No, you don't need that right now, Brad. You're okay." I've actually lost 5 pounds since I saw you a week ago.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Holy cow!" But again, I don't want to, Anyway, we'll see how it goes. Maybe we will. I'll encourage you to launch this as a weight loss thing. But anyway, I just thought that was pretty cool. So
Well,
I just throw that in there.
yeah, just being that having that mindful eating, mindful of what you're doing every moment and yeah, that wow. So
Mhm.
yeah, if you want to give us some feedback on this podcast, you can email us at info@fivekingdomsradio.com. That's the number 5 kingdoms with a Y radio.com. I'd love to hear from you, or you can email jay@jwalter.com. Either way. But that's my call to action is tonight. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, is that the best you can do? And let us know what happens. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll call this another rebuilding, and hope you have a great day. As always, thank you for listening to Rebuilding. I hope that you have heard something today that will help you on your path to rebuilding your life. If something resonated, if you felt a call to action, please take that action and rebuild. Let me know what you think of today's show or any of my shows. You can leave comments at rebuilding.podbean.com or email at j@jwalter.com. I would love to hear from you. Comments, suggestions, and topics that you would like me to cover are always welcome. Remember, a dream written down with a deadline is a goal, and a goal achieved is a dream come true. Until next time, I am Jay Walter, and I am always rebuilding.